Yo, what's up, Guru Nation? We're back, y'all. The Guru Nation podcast. Back again for draft season, y'all. This time is going to be a mock draft episode. Going to mock draft the first round of the 2024 NFL draft. Very interesting class. Now, there are a lot of quarterbacks and wide receivers expected to go early. Just a pretty strong class all around, it appears. So we're going to get into that here with our very special guest, Pigskin Paul. This is now our fourth year doing a first-round mock draft. Can't wait to see what Pigskin has to say. It's going to be a lot of fun, y'all. Strap in. Hello, what's up, Guru Nation? Oh, yeah. I always love this time of year, y'all. Draft season, can't beat it. Speculation through the roof. But this year, it seems like a lot of teams have been keeping things more hush-hush. Haven't heard quite as many rumors as usual, but still a lot, though. Still a lot going on, a lot to speculate about. And we're going to get right into it here with Pigskin Paul. Let's welcome him in. How's it going, Pigskin?
Hey, doing just fine, sir. Quickie, I know we don't want to drag this out, but you were talking about not getting much information anymore. When I first started going to the Senior Bowl in 2006, the scouts would talk to you. If you found somebody that you hit it off with a little bit, they weren't going to spill all the beans, but they would talk to you. And the last 7 or 8 years, no way.
No, they keep those lips sealed. They are not letting anything out.
You could be their brother-in-law, and they ain't going to tell you anything.
Because it says millions of dollars are on the line, and with the agents, when the agents leak all this info, they're trying to boost their clients' draft stock a lot of times. I remember Bill Belichick was on, I think it was Pat McAfee, and
yes, he was
going over all that. Yeah, that was very interesting. And speaking of Belichick and the Patriots picked third this year, Pigskin. I know that's just your favorite team growing up, so it'll be interesting to see where they go with this thing. So we're going to pull up the big board here. People go 1 to 16 and 17 to 32. The Chicago Bears pick first, and so you'll have the odds numbers this year, Pigskin. I think we all know where the Chicago Bears are going. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Caleb Williams, the name that's a generational type talent, like they were saying about Trevor Lawrence a few years ago, except Caleb Williams is, I think, on an even higher level than that. Caleb Williams is on there saying like Hall of Fame upside. We'll see if he pans out, but all the hype is there for him.
The only thing I think was crazy on this, I understand why the Bears got rid of Fields so that they would, not complicate this, but they should have kept quiet a little bit longer and waited a little bit. I mean, they gave him up for nothing.
Yeah, not even a bag of chips, a freaking just a couple of crumbs.
Yeah,
and that trade is terrible.
I still think Fields has starting potential in the NFL and the right system and the right coaching staff.
Agreed. Yeah, I think in Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson will probably start the first few weeks, but if he struggles, like I think he will, I don't trust Russell Wilson, and they will definitely not be afraid to go with Fields because, with Burrow, Lamar, and Deshaun Watson on the division, if you're a team like Pittsburgh, you can't afford to be messing around with Wilson if he's struggling. So exactly. I think Fields is going to see the field this year.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So speaking of quarterbacks that can run, Jaden Daniels, y'all, a LSU quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, and Drake May, the big arm kid from North Carolina, both in the mix here to go at number 2 to the Commanders. I'm doing the evens this year. So for the Commanders, I'm thinking that, they're definitely weighing both options. You want to get this right, new regime there. You don't want to screw it up yet again like they always seem to do. I mean, they've yet to solve their QB issues since they let Kirk Cousins walk in free agency. But with the new OC, Cliff Kingsbury, he worked well with the mobile quarterback at the Cardinals, Kyler Murray. And I think he's a guy that's going to want kind of quarterback that can really spread things out, open up the offense. And Jaden Daniels, to me, is the best candidate for that. So I'm going to put Jaden Daniels, quarterback, LSU, to the Washington Commanders at pick 2.
For what it's worth, I agree with you. Now, here we go. You ready? Got the drum roll?
Yes. The New England Patriots at pick 3, which, disclaimer, y'all, we will allow trades in this year's mock draft. Normally, we don't allow trades, but with all the speculation, and especially with teams like the Patriots and the Vikings potentially trading, we're going to allow trades this year. So take it away, Pigskin.
Yes. And I was raised as a Patriots fan living in southern New Hampshire. So they're one of my favorite teams to this day. Um, I am going to make a trade here.
Ooh, all right, all
Um,
right.
all right. New England is going to trade the third pick, no shock here, to the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh,
And
Vikings moving on up. Let me,
and for that,
yeah, let me
we're going to give the Patriots the number 11 pick from the Vikings
get
and the
up
number
pick
23
23. Yep.
and a second rounder next year and a second rounder in 2026,
Man, that's
which won't affect what we do.
yeah, quite the price to pay. But if you want to move up that much from 11 to 3, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
you're gonna have to pay a pretty penny.
Yep. So having done that, I do think that the Vikings, despite all the smart talk, I'm sorry, I cannot buy the JJ McCarthy going ahead of Drake May. I don't buy it. I
Mhm.
say that the Vikings will take Drake May.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, Drake May's been the guy that's big. It's been like the 3, it was really the 2 before Jaden Daniels had his big Heisman year. It was who was going to go 1, 2 between Williams and May, and then Williams became the clear one. So I was like, all right, May's going to go 2, but then May's stock slipped a little bit, but still, I don't think it slipped to the point to where McCarthy is going to go ahead of him.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. In fact, in a mock draft I did recently, I had the Vikings getting McCarthy, but they got him at 11.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what the Patriots end up at, which you'll be able to make their selections. They're both odd picks, 11 and 23. So yeah, Patriots definitely need to retool that roster.
As the
So
saying goes, they need everything. So no matter who's there or who's gone, they still can get, they need an offensive tackle really bad. That offense,
definitely,
you know, and we'll get to that later. Let's
for
keep
sure.
moving.
Yep. So at number 4, the Arizona Cardinals, another obvious one to me. Got to give them Marvin Harrison Jr., the top receiver in this class, because they need a receiver in the worst way, y'all. I mean, Hollywood Brown walked in free agency. DeAndre Hopkins, they traded him last year, and they just didn't really get anyone to fill that void. Rondale Moore also out the door. They've completely transformed that offense outside of Kyler Murray and James Conner. It's all new pass catchers there. Zach Ertz gone as well. So I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the perfect option to become the alpha
I agree.
receiving option over there and be able to get them back relevant on offense.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, the
Perfect fit.
Chargers at 5. I'd be tempted to trade this, but with the Vikings, I'm not that creative. With the Vikings already having traded with the Patriots, I'm just going to say the Chargers are going to take this pick.
Mm.
And I think, to me, it's between 2 players, and they need both these positions. It's either Joe Alt to start at left tackle,
Mm-hmm.
or, and I think I'm going to go this way, I'm going to say, give him Rome Odunze from
Ooh, Roma
Washington, the wide
Dunze. All
receiver.
righty.
I mean, they got rid of Allen and they got
Yep.
rid of Williams to get under the cap. Who
Right.
they got? They really don't have a quality. They don't have a number 1 wideout
Mm-mm.
right now.
No, they
Rome
do not.
Odunze, to me, you're looking at, in a couple years, you're looking at another Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I mean, he's been comped to Larry Fitzgerald, Devontae Adams, similar, and just a guy you can really count on to be that alpha receiver. So while it may take him a year or 2 to develop, it's like with Justin Herbert, I think that would be a really good fit there. So yeah, I don't think that's a reach at all. The only question I have though is Malik Neighbors. A lot of people have him ranked above Odunze, but you think Odunze is a better fit there for the Chargers?
Better fit there, yes. But Neighbors is my number 1 wide receiver on my top 100 list.
Well, he ain't gonna be here for much longer because I'm about to mock him to the Giants here at pick 6. Y'all, I'm going Malik Neighbors for the Giants because man, they're another team that really needs a receiver. And now it's Saquon Barkley gone. They need a new star player in their offense, and I think that it's gonna be Malik Neighbors because he's a guy that's a complete receiver. He's got great hands and stretch the field, does it all. He might be a tad undersized for an alpha receiver, but I think he can put on some weight. And then with height, I mean, you don't have to be 6'5" anymore to be a number one receiver. Look at Chase and Jefferson. Neither of those guys are super imposing height-wise. Tyreek Hill. I mean, the new age of the number one receiver is a guy that's about 6 feet and, really fast, great route runner, great hands. And to me, Malik Neighbors is just that. So I think he gives the Giants a true alpha weapon there at pick 6.
And my comment is, what great irony. The last time the Giants had a legit number one was when Odell Beckham was there.
Yep, also LSU. Yep, LSU. They say DBU for LSU. It's really WRU. LSU produces some incredible receivers, man. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. The list goes on and on.
Ohio State and LSU.
Exactly. Yep, and Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. I mean, you can't get much better than that. So hopefully they live up to the hype. I think they will. So now on to the Titans at pick 7.
Yeah, and I think this is as much a slam dunk as any other pick in this draft. Joe Alt, their offensive line needs help.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, Joe Alt, man. I mean, he's by far the consensus number one left tackle. And Tennessee definitely needs one of those. They signed Calvin Ridley to where, I mean, they had needed receivers, but they kept D-Hop, signed Calvin Ridley. So I don't think receivers really their big need anymore. As well as in cornerback, they addressed cornerback by bringing in L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs.
Yes, that's a big signing.
Definitely. And then
trade. Trade.
Yeah, the trade. And they signed someone as well. They got 2 new corners this year. So I think left tackle is definitely their biggest need. So Joe Alt makes a lot of sense. And now pick 8, the Atlanta Falcons, y'all. This is kind of an interesting spot. A lot of people have them going with an edge rusher, which would make sense. I mean, their pass rush needs help. But Raheem Morris was a guy that I think really want to have a lockdown secondary over there. And so with that being said, I'm going to go a little contrarian here. A lot of people have been mocking Dallas Turner or the UCLA guy, Jared Verse. A lot of good edge rushers in this class. But I'm going to go ahead and give the Falcons the top corner in this class instead, who's actually ranked a little higher than any edge rushers here on Shane from Draft Countdown, his big board here. I'm going to give the Falcons Quinion Mitchell from Toledo.
Yeah, he's the real boy. He was superb at the Senior Bowl. For those people that were questioning, and then he goes to the combine. He ran a 4.34 or something like that.
Yeah, the kid's legit.
I mean, he was excellent. So I agree with you there, my friend.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying about the edge rushers, but it's like, I mean, I know Shane's one of your colleagues at Draft Countdown, and then just trying to, think of some other options besides this, because we all know the chalk picks a lot of times don't work out. So I go with what I feel is the most logical pick. And to me, at this point, that Quinion Mitchell, I think, is a slightly more logical pick, even though they have a big needed pass rush. Because they also have a need at corner. Outside of A.J. Terrell, they don't really have much at cornerback.
I think they can help themselves there in the second round, though.
Yeah, for sure.
As well.
Right, yeah, there'll be other guys there. So, and the Bears at pick 9, their second pick of the first round, did they trade back or did they stay here at 9?
Well, again, I'm not creative enough to come up with these trades in most cases, but I think they should be thinking about that. They have not rebuilt this roster so well that they can get away with drafts of only 4 picks, which is what they've got this year. They only got 4 picks the whole 2 days, 3 days. I mean,
wow.
It's kind of crazy. So the question becomes, okay, since I can't get creative enough to think of something like that, how about we got to remember we need to help Mr. Caleb Williams here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I'm going to say, how about if we take a look at, since you passed on him, how about we give him an edge rusher? How about Dallas Turner?
Oh, yeah, I could see that. The Bears pass rush definitely needs some help. I mean, they got Montez Sweat last year before the trade deadline, but other than him, they don't really have a whole lot there at edge. So, yeah, I like the Dallas Turner pick. That makes sense for them since the Falcons passed on him in this scenario.
Okay.
Now
Okay, so what are the Jets going to do there, buddy? Are they going to help Aaron Rodgers in some way, shape, or form?
Oh, yeah, they definitely are. Whether it's a weapon or an offensive lineman remains to be seen. I think, though, because they really addressed their O-line this offseason, bringing in Tyron Smith and other guys, I think it's going to be a weapon, assuming one of the big four weapons falls to them. And in this case, he has the fourth of them, Harrison, Neighbors of Doomsday, and Brock Bowers is the fourth of those big four weapons. And I know there's a lot of good offensive linemen out there, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to really pound the table for another weapon because outside of Garrett Wilson, let's be real, he doesn't have any reliable pass catchers. So Brock Bowers, tight end Georgia to the Jets.
Yeah, he doesn't even have Randall Cobb anymore. They let him walk.
I mean, that's why the Jets need to just tell Rodgers, look, I know Randall Cobb's your friend, but he ain't producing, so we got to move forward. But yeah, Brock Bowers is definitely someone that's going to help boost that receiver room.
Okay. Now, for me, son of a gun, now my Patriots are up. Yep. And I think now they're in a position where they should get that tackle that they need. I mean,
there's a lot on the board here.
Mac Jones really got screwed in New England. I think they finally admitted it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give him Talise Fuaga.
All righty.
From Oregon State.
Yeah.
He's not flashy, but man, I'll tell you what. Nobody could get past him in the drills at the Senior Bowl.
He's a unit. Definitely looks like he'd be a solid anchor tackle there for what needs to be a rebuilt offensive line there in New England. Because like Pigskin said, Mac Jones was done no favors, and whoever they do bring in at quarterback's definitely going to need to be protected. So Denver here at pick 12, man. I mean, shoot, I was going to give him an edge rusher, but at this point, Sean Payton, he's rumored to be a fan of this kid, and I think because of the Raiders also needing a quarterback at pick 13, I'm giving Denver J.J. McCarthy, y'all. I think Sean Payton, if McCarthy falls to him, I think he's gonna. I know a lot of some of his mixed reviews on McCarthy. I think the kid's got a lot of potential. 12 might be a bit of a reach for him, as evidenced by the fact that he's 22nd on the big board. But I just think Sean Payton is that desperate for a quarterback to where he pulls the trigger.
I think you are correct.
So it'll be interesting to see if they do that. The Raiders probably going to be like, because they need a QB. So, but they also need a lot of other stuff there. Pick 13.
Okay, now let's go back to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the hardest working productive players in the NFL, defenders, is Max Crosby of the Raiders. He needs some help.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give him Laiatu Latu from UCLA.
Ooh, man, they went edge last year with Tyree Wilson. So, then they'll...
and I'm not sure that's going to work out.
He didn't really do much as a rookie. He didn't see the field all that much. So they might just have to... it's only 1 year, but he didn't look the part. So Latudo definitely does. He's been a serious riser in this pre-draft process.
Yeah, he's a good, solid player. Yeah, and I'm assuming that the medical was okay on his neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is because he's definitely. I think that's the reason why he wasn't ranked this high earlier in the process. But I think his medical checked out, so he is zooming up this board higher than.
You get the hometown team here.
I sure do. My New Orleans Saints. Yep, I'm glad I got the evens because I always like giving my thoughts on the Saints. But this year, to me, it's pretty obvious what they got to do. They got to take an offensive tackle. I mean, Trevor Penning, who they took 2 years ago, is looking like a bust. Ryan Ramczyk, their franchise right tackle, is dealing with a knee issue that we don't know if he'll ever play football again.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it's not another Michael Thomas situation.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope not. But anyway, the bottom line is even if he does come back, they still have a gaping hole at left tackle because Andres Pete filled in last year, but he's getting old and still a free agent. So even if they bring him back,
pretty much.
Yeah, but they might bring him back. But even so, they need a long-term solution at this position. And to me, the perfect option for him here is Olu Fashanu from Penn State.
Yep. talent-wise, he is absolutely the guy. The question I think, Spence, will be, is he going to be pro ready, or will they have to play somebody else there for maybe a month or so and bring him along a little bit slowly? But he's got the size, he's got the talent. He's a smart kid.
Yep. Yep. Team captain, I believe.
Yeah. And he's probably less likely than some of these other guys to get blinded by the New Orleans nightlife.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's why the Saints look for guys that have a good college track records. Team captains, responsible players, team leaders, because they know how that New Orleans nightlife can be. It can be,
it can gobble you right up.
Exactly. So yeah, Fashanu, I don't think they'll have to worry about that with him. And he's someone, I think, like you said, they'll probably bring Pete back and he can hold it down early. But I think Fashanu starts from day one, especially if Ramczyk has issues, because I think this kid's so talented. I think he'll be able to learn on the fly.
Yep.
So Indianapolis Colts, pick 15. Colts.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with the Colts. They've got a few needs, but I think their roster is pretty young, and their general manager just lives and dies with RAS, the relative athletic scores. I think he may not like this guy as much as I do, but he's stuck with him because I'm picking. I'm going to give him Terrion Arnold, the cornerback from Alabama.
Okay. Yeah, they definitely need cornerback help for sure. So I could see that. I mean, that's probably the position they don't have a whole lot of needs, like you said. I mean, they've got a good young roster.
They're solid.
But that's something they definitely need help
on Richardson, right? I mean,
Very true, because if Richardson's healthy, this team, they might go places. But if he's hurt, Joe Flacco, as we saw, he can carry you for a few weeks, but when the playoffs come around, it ain't pretty.
There you go. I agree.
So now on to the Seattle Seahawks, a team that's kind of in an interesting position. Like, what do? Do they try to start it over and go quarterback? New regime over there, no more Pete Carroll. I don't think they do, though.
Okay.
Because I think Geno, I think he'll be able to hold it down, at least for the foreseeable future. They could use some offensive line help, though, as well as some pass rush help. They've got a lot of good players that have fallen here, like the Troy Fatanu's fallen a little bit, J.C. Latham, Jared Verse. Yeah. So to give them here, I think this offensive line class seems pretty deep. So I'm going to go ahead and give them Jared Verse, because I'm surprised Jared Verse is still available here at pick 16. He's a guy that a lot of people have going sooner. So I'm going to say the Seahawks go with best player available, Jared Verse, edge rusher, Florida State.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think from what I have heard and seen, of course, it's highlight films, but he may be 6'4", 260, but he plays really strong. Yeah. Really strong. Speed to power. Every highlight film I see, he's pushing a 300-pound tackle right into the quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see this kid slipping into the second half of the first round. So yeah, Jared Verse, edge, Seattle. So there's picks 1 to 16 for y'all. Caleb Williams to the Bears, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, Drake May to the Vikings via a trade with the Patriots, Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals, Roma Dunze to the Chargers, Malik Neighbors to the Giants, Joe Alt to the Titans, Quinion Mitchell to the Falcons, Dallas Turner to the Bears, Brock Bowers to the Jets, Talise Fuaga to the Patriots, J.J. McCarthy to the Broncos, Latu to the Raiders, Olu Fashanu to the Saints, Terrion Arnold to the Colts, and Jared Verse to the Seahawks. Let's turn the page now. Pick 17 to 32. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Pigskin. Well, you got the Jags going.
I'm gonna do something I don't usually do because he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. I always try not to do a comp between a prospect and a Hall of Famer. Okay, that's taking it too far, and we all know that Aaron Donald is gonna go in the Hall of Fame as soon as he's eligible.
Oh yeah,
but they need to, But this kid, Byron Murphy from Texas.
Oh yeah, Byron Murphy the
kind of player as Donald. A little bit short, 6'1", 6'1.5", under 300 pounds. but man, effort, big time, speed. I think he's exactly what Jacksonville needs. Their interior defensive line is a little bit soft and it's getting old.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's a good outside the box pick for them because a lot of people have them going a cornerback, but neither of the big two cornerbacks are available, so they'd probably have to reach a little bit for like a Nate Wiggins from Clemson. So yeah, I like this Byron Murphy pick. I think he's a very good pick there, and I bet the Rams are really kicking themselves right now because they really
because
Murphy would be the perfect fit for them to replace Aaron Donald.
Yep, exactly. Although maybe you wouldn't want to put a kid in that position.
Yeah,
You
true.
know?
Yeah, that's big shoes to fill. But I mean, they got to get somebody in there
Oh,
to
yes,
fill
they
that void.
do.
They had
Yes.
that kid last year that really burst onto the scene, but they need someone else as well to fill that
Okay,
interior
well,
pass rush
what
void.
about the Bengals here, my friend?
Yeah, the Bengals, man, they're in an interesting spot because I mean they could really use some O-line help, but it could also stand to add another weapon for Mr. Joe Burrow. And we know they did it. They're not afraid to do that. They did it the year where they took Jamar Chase first round. And so I think, considering how well he treated him as an LSU wide receiver, I'm going to go ahead and give them Mr. Brian Thomas because we don't know how long T. Higgins is going to be there, being on the one-year franchise tag. Tyler Boyd's a free agent. They basically have no reliable receivers past Chase as far as long term. So I'm going to go ahead and give him Brian Thomas. He'll be on the cheap rookie deal because Chase is going to want his big extensions. I don't think they're going to be able to afford T. Higgins. So give me Brian Thomas. He'll eventually be the complement to Jamar Chase.
I can see that. I can see that because you're right. People forget that Boyd is not probably coming back, and Higgins is going to be unhappy on the franchise tag. So you know he's not coming back after this year.
Yeah.
But he may dog it a little bit this year because he's upset at the Bengals.
Exactly. And then even if he does, I mean, he's always hurt. So you got Brian Thomas. I think he'll burst onto the scene right away. I think he'll start off as a big slot and then eventually be that number 2.
Yep, I'm with you. The Rams, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pick 19.
The Rams need to upgrade that offensive line. Now they've taken care of the guards, I think, with the Raging Cajun Dotson re-signing.
Yep, that was big.
Okay. But the tackles, I'll tell you what, let's give them a project to work on. Let's give them the most athletic offensive lineman in this draft class, Amarius Mims from Georgia. But he's only started 7 games in his college career.
Yeah, that kid's very interesting. I think he's ranked pretty high here on the big board. So yeah, I think he's someone that the Rams could kind of afford to do that because they've got some guys that could start for now, and then once Mims is ready, he's a guy that could potentially be not just a starting left tackle, but a franchise left tackle. So I think he's a really good fit there to the Rams. And now to the Steelers, another team that could use O-line help. They could also use a weapon, but with Brian Thomas gone, they're probably going to have to instead go with the offensive linemen. I'm going to go ahead and give them Troy Fautanu from Washington, someone that can move around the formation, can play tackle or guard. And I think they're getting a steal here at pick 20, getting him here at pick 20, because I think that kid is someone that could easily go in the first half of the first round, but just the way things played out with the trades and stuff, he fell a little bit. So I think Pittsburgh's going to run to the podium to get this card turned in. Troy Fautanu,
I'm with
Washington.
I'm with you. They need something there, and everything you hear is that this guy is the real deal. Okay, speaking about needing the real deal, the Dolphins.
Yes.
The Dolphins, who keep having 4 and 5 player drafts because their owner can't keep his mouth shut. And they keep losing draft picks for tampering.
Yep, it's crazy. Sean Payton and Tom Brady. Yep, unbelievable.
Yeah. So what are we going to give them? I think their number one need is offensive line, but we're almost done cleaning the cupboard here. My question becomes, probably the best guy left is J.C. Latham.
Mm-hmm.
Is he, I keep hearing he's the strongest guy. What? He's like 6'6", 340 pounds.
Yep. He's a
Um,
specimen.
but the question becomes, does he have the footwork? And the Dolphins aren't exactly I wouldn't call them a running team. They do run, but I
Mm-hmm.
think their offense is still centered around those wide receivers,
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and their quarterback.
Yep.
So I don't know. And they lost a couple guys on defense. I'm going to go out there a little ways on this, just because this guy is such a good athlete. I'm going to go with Chop Robinson from Penn State
Oh, okay. Yeah, edge. Yeah, they could use
as
some
an
edge
edge.
rush help. Yeah, Jalen Phillips was their first round pick, I believe, last year. He's got the torn Achilles, so he might not
Yeah.
even be ready for next season. And Bradley Chubb getting up in age. So, yeah, Chop Robinson makes sense. Great athlete. Yeah, that could work
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. The only complaint I hear about him is he had quite a few quarterback pressures, but he only had about 6 sacks. He couldn't finish the deal,
I think
And
it'll come in time,
I
just
I would think so, and I would say I really think so because I think James Franklin at Penn State has done a great job recruiting, and they win 10 games every year. But when was the last time they went to a New Year's Day bowl or a playoff bowl? When was the last time they won the Big Ten? They don't coach their guys up as much as they should. I think
yeah,
Chop Robinson, with a really good coach, could just explode as a
agreed.
pro.
Agreed. So on to the Philadelphia Eagles now. They did a lot this offseason to address their defense. Their defense was dreadful
Yep.
last year, but should be better. The thing is, though, they didn't really replace Jason Kelsey. I mean, they plan on moving Cam Jurgens to center, but I
Yeah.
mean, Cam Jurgens is a starting guard, so now they've got a hole right there. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a guy. He's capable of playing center or guard. He's been a riser, and I think he's going to be a good fit here for the Eagles because they definitely need offensive line help to keep their run heavy offense going with Saquon now at running back. Graham Barton
Yep.
from Duke.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's been quite a while, Spencer, since I have heard so much talk about this guy and the fact that his versatility, they think he can play all 5 offensive line positions if you
Yeah.
have to. But you usually don't hear people talking about versatility in round 1,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I agree with you, and I agree with them. You watch his tape, and he's tall, he's got some strength, he's good, he's pretty athletic, and yeah, maybe as a rookie he won't start, but he could still back up 4 positions on game day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, might not start as a rookie, but they might not need him to. But if that
Right.
guard spot, if whoever they have it to fill in a guard doesn't pan out, he could probably fill in there. Since it seems like Jurgens it seems like he was Jason Kelsey's handpicked replacement to be the new center.
Yeah.
Yep. So now on to the Patriots, their second pick of the first round.
Yes. So we took an offensive tackle, so we don't have to worry about offensive tackles anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm not sure I really believe this, but if they draft a quarterback, that young man doesn't have to start this year. That's why they signed Jacoby Brissett.
Right.
Jacoby Brissett is a career backup and fill-in quarterback, and I think he'd be a great teacher for a rookie quarterback to come work under. And I also think he can win. He can be a 500 quarterback if they upgrade enough of their overall talent, and then you can let this guy sit. So I'm going to give him, based on that, Bo Nix.
Oh, Bo Nix. That's bold. He's not even on the big board, but we all know how quarterbacks can
Well, you
get
know
pushed
what?
up. So I threw him and Penix in there. He had the top 50 on the big board, but I threw him and Penix in because I figured one of those two would end up in the first.
You know what? I have a few concerns about Bo Nix, but man, when I look at his stats, his numbers,
Great numbers.
and I guess the reason I'm comfortable that he could be a winning NFL quarterback in the right system with the right coaches. How athletic is Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I mean, not that much.
Kirk Cousins with a 4th round pick. That was when they took what's his name?
RG3.
RG3. And he had a great rookie year. Then he blew out his knee and he was never the same.
Yep.
And that's when Kirk Cousins got his chance. So I'm going to look at Bo Nix and say, I don't see why in the world, with the right team around him, he can't develop into Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins gets his team to the playoffs every year that he's healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if
They
Bo
don't
Nix,
go far. They don't go far, but
yeah.
at least he gets them there.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, guys can keep developing. I mean, a lot of these guys end up great QBs. I mean, hell, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. So it's
There you
like, if
go.
you really fall in love with a quarterback, you kind of have to take the shot. So Bo
Yep.
Nix could very well end up their guy, especially with Denver. People thinking Denver might take him, but in this case, they ended up going with J.J. McCarthy. So Bo Nix of the Patriots could end up being a thing, especially if they trade down like Pigskin's
It's
thinking
worth a
they
shot,
will.
right?
Yeah,
It's
for
worth a shot.
sure. For sure. I mean, yeah, they addressed the big need with the first pick in this round. So now on the Jerry world, the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they're going to turn this card in because we all know Jerry loves the big, flashy prospect, and J.C. Latham from Alabama is exactly that. So I think considering they lost Tyron Smith this offseason, they're going to go select J.C. Latham to be their new left tackle.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. They need a lot. It's scary how thin their roster is.
I know, yeah, because they're so top heavy with having to pay Dak, and then I mean they haven't even paid C.D. Lamb and Micah Parsons yet. I don't know what they're doing. Oh yeah, Travion Diggs they paid, and they've got some bad contracts over there.
Yeah, they do. They do, and who knows how the Dak thing is going to work out. That's a disaster waiting to happen.
I think he's in a contract year this year. So.
Yeah.
The CD needs to get paid. Micah needs to get paid. I don't know. Jerry, if they don't do something this year, they might be in for years of suffering.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, here we go. The Packers.
Yep, one of your teams.
I would have taken Graham Barton here. But I'm not bummed out because I'm going to take the next best sure thing, and that's Cooper DeJean from Iowa.
Okay, yeah. I think that kid's got a lot of potential. He's the top safety in this class, and the Packers. I know they signed McKinney this offseason, but they could
the safety
more
from
secondary
the Giants.
help. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So, but DeJean, I know he can play corner too, right? Any one of those like hybrid DBs.
And the ace, the joker, I guess, with DeJean is he could be dynamite as a return man in the NFL, especially with the new kickoff rule, because he's fast.
Yep. Oh yeah, the new kickoff rule.
Don't be deceived, folks. He may be a white guy, but he runs under 4.4.
For sure. Yeah, I think that kid could be something nice. So we'll see how that shakes out. Cooper DeJean, they're going to the Green Bay Packers, and now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that could go in a variety of directions. But I'm going to go ahead and give them a cornerback here because they could use secondary help. Yep. I'm going to give them Nate Wiggins.
There you go.
I mean, they don't really have a whole lot there at cornerback. So I think Nate Wiggins would be a good pick so their defense kind of took a step back last year. So I think they need to reinforce that secondary.
Yeah. Well, they traded Davis and they let what's the other safety? Although I thought it was interesting. Did you notice?
Devin White walked. Yeah.
Yeah, and Devin White, that hurts a lot. But you can't keep everybody. I was surprised. Did you see that they brought Whitehead back, the safety that they originally
that was a
drafted?
that was a good addition. And they got Winfield on the tag, so they'll have Whitehead and Winfield.
Yeah.
Then they'll have the Wiggins to be the second corner. So
okay, our buddies, the Cardinals. I am convinced that this would be a trade out spot, but I didn't have time today to really, what can they get back that makes it worthwhile? Because I am sure if the Raiders thought they had enough, they would be very happy to trade back up here with the Cardinals if they had enough to offer, and we would see Michael Penix go off the board
Ooh,
if
you
it
gonna
were the
project the
Raiders.
trade or?
Yeah. Okay, but that's all cheap bar talk, as they say. So what this is really going to be considered a reach. But once upon a time, I was a big ugly. I'm just
Mhm.
ugly now. I'm not big. Uh, but when I played high school football at 5'11" and a half and 200 pounds, I was a big guy way back then. Okay, this guy, two of me would have made him up. I'm, I'm going to give the Cardinals Jackson Powers Johnson, that 330-pound center from Oregon.
Yeah,
He's going
man.
to start immediately. That's it.
Yep.
And they're going
Yep.
to
They need
run
it.
up.
They need someone like that.
They're going to run up the middle, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yep, yeah, James Conner, one of the more underrated running backs. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because they're, Steve, no, not Steve, Jonathan Gannon. I almost said Steve Wilkes.
Yeah,
He's
the
so
head
old. But
coach.
Jonathan Gannon, their new coach, is a defensive guy. So I think they need to really get some offense here in this draft to get some talent there. And then Marvin Harrison and Jackson Powers Johnson definitely do that trick.
Well, and if I remember right, Spencer, don't they have 3 more picks in the top 100?
I think so, yeah, because of trades with the Texans and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're able to
So, I
stockpile
mean, they got
picks.
plenty of time to find another 2, 3 guys to plug right in.
Definitely. They're in a good spot. Moving on now to the Buffalo Bills, who I think is pretty obvious what they need. A wide receiver, man. Trading Stephon Diggs away. They are really hurting at that position now. I like Khalil Shakir, but he is not a number one receiver. So I think the guy they take here to be their at least a number two could eventually be a number one there is Adonai Mitchell from Texas. I know all the hype surrounding Xavier Worthy, but I think Mitchell is the more well-rounded guy. So I'm going to give him Adonai Mitchell there.
Yeah, you know what? I like Worthy, and I remember him as a freshman, just so fast, so dynamic, and he has that potential. But where do the Bills play half their games? Buffalo, New York.
Oh, yeah.
Once we get to November, what are you going to do with a little 6 foot, 165-pound wide receiver?
Yeah, it's not a good fit. Mitchell's a
No,
better
I don't
fit.
think
He's a more
so.
physical receiver. I think he could be basically their new Diggs.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll go with that. Now,
Detroit Lions up
Detroit
next.
Lions.
Dan
And
Campbell, biting
yeah,
kneecaps.
biting kneecaps. There you go. What they want the most really isn't there anymore. They're going to have to wait till the second round, and that's another edge rusher.
Yeah,
But
they looks like they got a few out there.
but not first rounders, in my opinion.
For sure. For
You
sure.
know, so then we got to look at, okay, what else would they like to have? Would Tyler Guyton be a good one? Um, I thought watching the Lions last year, their biggest hole on that team was cornerback.
Yeah. Yeah, they
I
need
mean,
secondary help, especially with the Cam Sutton getting. I think
yeah,
he
and he's
got
going to go to jail.
released. Yeah, he's done. Yeah.
And he stunk. I mean, I watched in the playoff games. He was beaten right at the line of scrimmage almost every passing down.
Yeah.
So, given that, we got a lot of good guys off, but I am going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Okay, yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah, and they like Alabama guys. Took Jahmyr Gibbs last year, so yeah, I think Kool-Aid's gonna end up a late first round pick. Kind of got outshadowed by Arnold, but no, I think he's a first round talent. That's a good value there for Detroit.
Well, and I think he didn't have a great year, but what did we find out at the combine? He played the whole season with a broken bone in his foot.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think because with that factored in, he's going to go first round, and I think Detroit's getting a bargain there at a position of need.
Yeah.
So the rich get richer. It's crazy to think that the Detroit Lions are one of the NFL's top franchises right now, but here we are. They finally made it. They finally made it.
You know what I find interesting? Just a quick comment. If the Vikings get their quarterback, which they did in this draft, okay?
Yeah.
And if Caleb is as good as we think he's going to be, even as a rookie, the NFC North by
Brutal
the end of the
division.
season could be one of the strongest in the NFC.
Definitely. Yeah, just a couple of years ago, they were one of the weakest, but,
Yeah.
now with the Packers
Jordan
transitioning
Love,
well, you
Jared
know,
Goff, and the right system.
yep, and if those rookies pan out, watch
Yeah.
out. The AFC North's really strong too. And speaking of the AFC North, let's move on to the Ravens at pick 30. And I
Yep.
think they've got to address their offensive line. They lost a lot of good offensive line
Yep.
pieces this offseason. I think they've got to address it here in the first round of the draft. I'm going to go ahead and give them Tyler Guyton from
I knew it.
Oklahoma. I mean, he's
I
a
knew
guy
it.
that a lot of people have going before this. So I think if he slips to Baltimore there at 30, they'll gladly take him.
I'm gonna point out something about this guy that a lot of people are forgetting. A lot of people I have heard question, yeah, we know he's a great athlete and he's got a great body, he's got a lot to learn, but he's going to be good. But if he's really that good, why was he playing right tackle instead of left tackle? Guess what, folks? The Oklahoma quarterback is a guy named Dylan Gabriel who transferred from UCF. He's a left-handed thrower. So his blind
Yeah.
side is right tackle.
Yeah, that's why. That explains it. Yep. And then he can play right tackle with Baltimore, having Ronnie Stanley as their franchise left tackle.
Well, yeah, but maybe. He's getting old. He's injured a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, if he ends up messed up, well, Guyton can move to that side. So,
Yeah.
49ers pick 31.
Yes. A lot of places that they could use help. I'm going to resist because this guy should have been taken. The highest guy on my board that we haven't picked yet is Jerzon Newton from Illinois, the defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
But the 49ers already have about a dozen defensive linemen. I know they
Yes,
lost
yes,
a
they
few, but
do.
they signed some and brought them in. So I can't see going that direction and giving them another defensive lineman for the 49ers. I think, and I hate to say this because I know you're over in Raging Cajun country. I'm not convinced that Elijah Mitchell's going to be much. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
He's a
he's too
good
injury
athlete.
prone. Yeah.
Yeah, but what? He's been there 3 seasons. He's been hurt all 3.
Yeah.
For at least partial.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it and saying, maybe the 49ers need a running back. Oh my God. Pigskin's going to draft a running back in round 1. Oh, shame, shame, shame. Hey, I don't care. If you don't have runners, they're going to wear out McCaffrey.
Yeah, that Shanahan system's very run heavy, despite Brock Purdy emerged, but I mean that's still a run first offense.
Yeah. So I'm torn. I think Xavier Worthy is interesting for the 49ers, but I don't think it's quite as big a need. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to go with Jalen Wright, the running back from Tennessee.
Whew. That's I gotta say, folks, that's the spiciest pick of the day. Y'all had to wait all the way toward the end of the show, pick 31, but here y'all go. Y'all wanted a hot and spicy, bold pick there. Jalen Wright being
Well,
picked
you know
there by the
what?
49ers. I like it. I think he'd be a good compliment to see him.
Hey, you got to have a running back. Christian McCaffrey is probably better off if he only runs 10 times a game and he catches 12, 15 passes.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Wright at 5'10 and a half, 210, ran a 4.3840 at the combine.
He's blazing fast.
Yeah.
And McCaffrey's getting mileage on him, man. He's not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, McCaffrey might only have 2 or 3 more good years left in
I
him.
I think so. And I think that's why they give him the ball so much. Is you might as well use them while you got them, right?
No, exactly. And then, yeah, Jalen Wright could be probably has him and Jonathan Brooks. I'd say those are the 2 running backs that
Yep.
have the most
Yep.
upside in this class. Trey Benson, Blake Corum, more the safer picks, but neither of them are gonna go first round. If you're gonna be a first round running back, you got to have elite upside. And Jalen Wright, with his elite speed, could end up being so.
Yeah. And I had him ranked as the 34th best player.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was on. I think this is Shane from Draft Countdown's big board. I don't think he had Jalen Wright on his as we go down the list. I know he had Brooks.
Yeah.
He had Brooks and Benson, but no Jalen Wright.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. But whatever. Be that as it may. Okay. Who's Kansas City going to take? This is easy, I think.
For sure. I think it might not be as easy as you think, because I think there are 2 receivers they're going to want. Ladd McConkey from Georgia is one that comes to mind, because I think they're going to be intrigued by someone that's more of a route runner with Kelsey getting up in age. But I just think, though, at the end of the day, they want speed burners for Patrick Mahomes. And let's not overthink this, y'all. Xavier Worthy's the fastest wide out in the draft. To me, if he falls to him here, they're going to have to take him, because with Mahomes' big
100%.
arm, it's like, he's a great fit in offense.
Yep. I agree 100%. And you know what this also does? That pick would allow them to just get rid of Kadarius Toney, who's a blockhead.
Yeah, exactly. And then with Rashee Rice's future very uncertain, they definitely need some more weapons over there. I know you got Hollywood Brown, but I mean, Kelsey's getting old. They don't really have many sure things at that position. So Worthy, I think, would help them move on from MVS and Toney, because they had a lot of blockheads at receiver last year. But I think Worthy will help them move. They might take another one in the second round.
Well, I think they got a few other issues to deal with, Spencer. They might have to they might have to settle for something else. Like they need to find themselves a pretty good cornerback.
To replace Snead. Yeah. That's true. So
we did it,
y'all. We did it under an hour. Here the hell
there you go.
Yep. So recap it real quick. Picks. We'll go 32-1. So we'll pick 32-17. Xavier Worthy, Jalen Wright, Tyler Guyton, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Adonai Mitchell, Jackson Powers Johnson, Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, J.C. Latham, Bo Nix, Graham Barton, Chop Robinson, Troy Fatanu, Amarius Mims, Brian Thomas, Byron Murphy, and then our 16-1 for those that tuned in late. Jared Verse, Terry and Arnold, Olufashanu, Latu. I don't know if I said it right. If I didn't, I apologize. JJ McCarthy, Deleuze Fuaga, Brock Bowers, Dallas Turner, Quinion Mitchell, Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, Marvin Harrison, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams.
I think it's a pretty good one. We're not going to be right on everything by a long shot, but
like a March Madness bracket. You just got to hope to do the best you can. You're not going to be perfect.
Yeah. I think a quickie, I don't want to push us over an hour. I think the catch here is good. What I expect to be the craziest part of this draft coming up is late Friday night, overnight, and Saturday morning. This draft, I agree with most people, it's only really good for about 4 rounds, maybe a little bit into the 5th round. Beyond that, a lot of these guys would be undrafted rookie free agents. But with nil and COVID year still out there. So what I think is going to happen is there is going to be an absolute flood of trades late Friday night, Saturday morning, for people who look at the board and say, crap, we need this. And there's only 2 of those guys left. Let's trade up in round 4 and get this guy.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't realize that the class was shallow like that.
Yeah. Like look at what we've got here. Okay? How many teams do you think are going to be making offers for pick 33
Oh yeah, to get Michael Penix.
If Michael Penix is still available,
a
huh?
bunch. Yeah.
5 or 6 teams at
Yep,
least.
the Raiders, Seahawks. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be crazy, and there are going to be other positions. I think the same way that people are just going to be frothing at the mouth because after round 4, you might as well go fishing.
Yep, for sure. So that's gonna do it for this one. Appreciate Pigskin for tuning in, and we'll have some more content coming up. But for those that love the draft and just soak it in, y'all, it's that time of year. Just sit back and enjoy the show, as they say. So that's gonna do it for this one. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace out.
Adios.